All right, this is Grandfather. Now, as promised, a few predictions. First, I have to bring up areas that are under threat. Not because you don't know about that threat, but because there's been relatively slow and often what I shall call compromised activity regarding that threat. I realize that science is only able to do what it can do. New discoveries are being made all the time, yes, but it takes a while to put them into application most of the time. So, without delaying any more, I'm going to have to say this. As I said before about migrations, you're going to see migrations happening much more now, not having to do with wars, which unfortunately are still going on, but having to do with disasters, mostly man-made. However, in one case, and by that I do not mean purposefully done, sometimes just a creation of human beings has gone awry or something unexpected has occurred. The latest and worst, which is not in the news so much anymore but is just as bad, is the atomic reactors polluting the atmosphere from Japan. Of course, that is not the only reactor causing such pollution. Now, I'm not here to blame anyone. Rather, I'm here to say this is the fact. So, migrations are going to be happening. Please accept willingly the people of Japan, who will in great numbers have to migrate. And please, politicians and other leaders in Japan, don't pretend they don't have to. You have many wonderful things about your culture. Why let it go away? I know you love your islands, but it's not realistic to pretend that it's going to be all right. I will also say this, that science does have its limits at this time, but as more heart-centered energy, meaning heart-centered people, not being shy about that, enter the area of solution, then the only thing that can work in such a overwhelming situation is what I'm calling, and have been calling for many years, magic. But I only call it magic because it seems to solve the unsolvable, which in your terms seems to be, quote, magical, unquote. But in fact it simply involves things that science has not been able to embrace. So things are constantly being done magically to help the situation. But you can participate. Those of you who have done living prayers to help the situation, that's good. Those of you who have done even benevolent magic to support yourself or your immediate friends and family, which can be done by simply adding the phrase instead of at the end, for me, all right, you say, for me in my greater area of existence, all right. This will tend to take in friends and family and others. But there's a simpler way to do this, and that's when you've completed the benevolent magic before you say, at the end, for me. Pause a considerable length of time, meaning, for those of you who are sensitive enough to know, pause as long as feels right. For those of you who are not sure, pause for at least a minute, but no more than 3 minutes. Try not to glance at your watch or your clock. If you do that, it will greatly deteriorate the impact of the benevolent magic, because you will think, and thinking is not so good for this particular work. You just have to say the words and do it. I'm not giving you the words because I want you to look them up and get your idea as to what words ought to be. So if you haven't received the Benevolent Magic download, the free book, go get it. Or just know that you're going to use words like being insulated and protected from this radiation and so on. I want to let you do it on your own. So try that for those of you who have done benevolent magic before. You will know how to do it. And you can share it with others if you feel it's working. If you're not sure if it's working, know this. Sometimes it takes a while for those good results to come about. But if you've done some benevolent magic and it has worked for you, then share what you have done and how you have done it. Because you don't just do that, you do that and other things to help the situation. And in the short run, meaning for the next 10 years, what's going to help the situation for people is to move. So, migrations are coming. And some in the surrounding area have already been affected. Not just the sea creatures, as you might say, but other peoples in other lands near Japan. So, don't get caught up in lawsuits and all this other business. It's just going to be, you have to go and that's that. Now, it's not all bad news. I want to say this. There are other areas that are going to continue to grow and thrive. All right? Down in the southern hemisphere, Australia is going to continue to be in a boom time in regards to creativity, new business, and an upbeat attitude by people. Other areas, including places in Chile and Argentina, okay, will also be experiencing boom times. Although Chile and Argentina have to deal with earth motion, some of this can be dealt with by using the strictest building codes. Again, check with Japan and their building codes, and don't build any atomic reactors by the sea or any place else. I know that many of you want to get away from using oil. It has hazards, doesn't it? But atomic reactors' hazards are even greater. And science doesn't have much it can do about radiation at this time. Not in the wholesale quantities we're talking about in terms of the disaster at the radiation power plant, okay, the atomic power plant in Japan, as well as the suffering caused in Chernobyl. So, try to avoid atomic power. Use solar if you can. And wind also can be done. All right. I know there are hazards there too. Not so much with solar, a little bit, but with wind. Try and put up some kind of poles near your wind area, or something that will distract birds so that they won't fly into the wind generators, or something that will deflect the birds from flying into the wind generators. All right? Even sounds might do it. All right? I think research has been done there, and you can accomplish that. So, one more prediction for a place. You will find that in India, especially towards middle to southern India, there will also be a tremendous amount of innovation and ready application of that innovation, and also, perhaps more importantly, a greater circulation of wealth. This will happen in a benevolent way, not from some radical change in government, but it will happen because of an attitude change that will become a model for humanitarianism the world over. Good life.